Well, good morning, Grace. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me this morning. This past Sunday, Pastor Jeff talked to us about our fear of lack. How in so many areas of our lives, whether it's time or money or food or some other area, we just feel like we're afraid there won't be enough. We're afraid that we're not going to have our needs met. And he, of course, pointed us to Jesus. Jesus is our provider. So he's the answer to this fear, just like he's the answer to all of our fears. With Jesus as our good shepherd, we can say, I lack no good thing. So if you haven't heard the message, head over to our YouTube channel. I promise it is a deeply impactful message and very encouraging. One of the things that I've been resting in this week that Pastor Jeff shared was, he said this, he said, God's greatest provision to us is his presence. God's greatest provision to us is his presence. And this came back to me as I was reading through other passages in the Bible this week. Like many of you, I'm sure I've been reading through scenes of Jesus' life in his final week of life here on earth, leading up to the cross as we head towards Good Friday. And I'm watching what he does. I'm listening to what he says in that week. And what struck me afresh was how many times he talks about his presence with us. He promises he will be with us. He talks about his disciples, about us being with him and how we will be with him. Again and again, he talks about his presence with us and our presence with him. And there's one verse specifically that stuck out to me this morning I want to share with you. It's John chapter 15, verse 4. And it says this, listen, it says, remain in me and I will remain in you. Jesus says this, remain in me. Or another translation says, abide in me. And what God revealed to me this morning was this is kind of like Jesus' spiritual stay-at-home orders, which we know all about stay-at-home orders right now, don't we? We're all trying to live our lives in the context of our own houses, which has been really hard. We're trying to do as much as we can, do everything we used to do by leaving our own homes, and we're trying to do it at home. Now thank goodness for technology, right? So we get on virtual calls and have meetings with our coworkers or talk to friends and seek the community that we need and want. So life has continued to go on. Life has moved forward, and yet life has moved forward with us while we're still remaining at home. And I think this is what Jesus is inviting us to. This is like what Jesus is, he's actually commanding us to. He says, abide in me, stay at home in me. So it's as if Jesus was saying, just like in this season, you have all these responsibilities in your life. You have so much to do every day. You have responsibilities that God has entrusted to you. But listen, as you go about them, do them from home. Do them from my presence. Stay at home with me. So my first question for you this morning is, how are you doing with that? How are you doing with abiding with Jesus? I've had mixed results this week. So I am again turning to his presence and asking for the awareness, for the strength, for the courage to just stay at home in him, even as I go about my day. But there's one thing more I want us to see here. Part of our struggle in these stay-at-home orders is that it feels like our life is on pause. It feels like we really can't get done what we could get done if we get out of the house. So we're not as productive as we used to be. We're not getting done what we need to, and we just can't wait till those orders lift, right? Because right now, we're feeling pretty unproductive. And here's the thing, though. Jesus' stay-at-home orders, they're different. Because here's what he says. After he says, abide in me, stay at home in me, his very next words are this: no branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. So listen, he says, I know right now you're feeling unproductive staying in your own house, but listen, when you stay at home with me, you will be so productive, I promise. In fact, you will bear fruit, the only kind of fruit that counts. When you remain in my presence, Jesus says, not just that, you won't just bear some fruit, you will bear much fruit to the glory of God. So that can be hard to see in a season like this. When we're stuck at home, when we feel like life is on pause, do you know our life in Jesus Christ is not on pause? So here's my other question for you. My first question was, how are you doing abiding in Jesus? My second question is this: what fruit, if you are abiding in him, what fruit is God bringing out in your life this week? Because it's guaranteed He's bringing fruit if you remain in Him. It can be hard to see because all these conversations, virtual conversations, or seeing each other outside and staying 6 feet apart or with masks on, it's hard to have those conversations. You know what I've noticed, though, is that as awkward as those conversations are, people are willing to go deep quick now. They're willing to talk about stuff that matters. And folks, isn't it true that nothing matters more than Him? So this can feel like a time of being hindered, but really it's a time of being let loose. If we trust Jesus, if we abide in Him, what fruit will He develop and allow us to bear in this life for His glory? Well, I be encouraged. I hope you're encouraged today as you remain in Him, as you seek to bear much fruit in Him. I'm right here with you, trying to do the same by His grace and for His glory. Thanks for joining me again today. I hope you'll come back and join us this coming Friday night for our Good Friday services online, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock online. And then, of course, for Easter Sunday's coming, He is risen indeed. So join us again Sunday morning for 9, 10, or 11 o'clock services so that we can celebrate the finished work of Jesus Christ on Friday and His resurrection on Sunday morning. God bless you, Grace. We'll see you then.